mid-season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. Just gonna solidify everything from Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC with the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura, is going to be able to find these shots true?
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an athlete, immediately goes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Hello and welcome back, folks, to Saturday Night Overwatch. We're coming off the back of an amazing mid-season here in CGL. Across the board, there was amazing stories and matches that we got to see in Saturday Night Overwatch and cast throughout the weeks. It's been brilliant, but we are moving on through to the second stage. My name is Jill. I'll be your host for tonight. I'm joined by Spec. The EU has returned to the desk. We have SNO as well, and of course to Tryhard Ray. We're going to be breaking it down for you before the match. We're also going to have a little game later on, so it should be a good time as usual. But yes, an amazing mid-season so far. Last week on SNO, we got to watch not the cleanest match, but certainly one of the most entertaining matches in Smelvin Industries versus DYS Budget Approved. It was a great matchup. That was one of the ones where I really want to see it replayed at the end of this stage in the playoffs because it was absolutely amazing. Brief shout out to the other winners of the mid-season. In the EU Masters tier, we have 07 beating Queen's Gambit 3-0. We have the GM tier in EU, which Team.exe won 3-1 against Special Forces. And bring it here to the EU Open tier in PC, it was 0907 3-0 to Everfrog, who are one of our teams today against Big Ballers. So guys, mid-season's up, we're into the stage 2. How are we feeling, Ray, moving forward into the rest of this season? What are your thoughts? What are you expecting to see?
Look, I just kind of want to highlight one of the grand finals that I casted. Nightmare Rotation getting the big dub. You should have seen the composition they were running. They were running Roadhog Sim Junk. It was absolutely ridiculous. They 3-0'd with it, and it just threw the other team for a loop. The other team was trying to play meta, but they were just going crazy with it. Like that series was just absolutely bonkers. I mean, Nightmare Rotation is known for being a one-trick team, but still, it was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, bonkers is the word. Sounds absolutely mad. I need to go back and watch that because I've not seen that one yet, and that's definitely one I'm going to bookmark. So, what are your thoughts on the mid-season? What stood out to you the most?
I think what stood out to me the most is that a lot of these teams understand what's going on and what we're supposed to be doing in quotation marks, but are just kind of deciding that it's not for them. We're seeing so many teams, start off on the Brig, the Brig, Juno, Orisa comp, and really kind of, then just decide like, all right, we're not winning this. Let's go back to what works. Let's go play our Winston dive. Let's go do, like Ray said, like let's just play some nonsense good characters and just win on it. So I'm really fascinated by what the rest of the season brings, especially now that we've gotten a lot of changes to the maps and the heroes.
Exactly, yeah. Things have changed, not only in the standings, because of course those teams that won got that extra match win, but you're right, the maps are different now, so Stage 2 creates a lot of opportunities for teams that might benefit a lot from that. Spec, you weren't with us last week, unfortunately. You didn't get to see an NA player win MVP in an EU Grand Finals of a mid-season, but what were your thoughts on the mid-season and going forward into the second stage?
I had a great time in the matches I did cast, obviously, in the mid-season. Thoughts going forward? Firstly, let's be real here, the new season, great cosmetics. The patch was kind of terrible. Nothing changed except for Sombra was found dead in a ditch with 2 bullets in her skull, so she's totally unplayable. I mean, Juno Brig is like slightly weaker, I guess, but it's not all that. It's kind of mid, realistically. So we're kind of in this scenario now where I'm not that enthused. I think that we're going to see a lot more of the same. Orisa especially is going to be in a really strong place. And I think that we are going to have a very stagnant meta with the teams who do want to play something that's really optimal. Of course, we've seen before, and especially with these 2 teams we'll be seeing in a bit in the future, they don't have to play the Brig Juno, but I think that we're going to be seeing just so much of it that we're going to be pretty sick of it after a little while.
Look, I'm just going to say this to Spectreon. As a tank and support player, I'm glad she's dead.
Skill issue, shoot her in the head. I don't have to say.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, you know, what does that say, Spec, though, that a lot of these teams are winning with, you know, weird comps? I mean, you can say people are going to run it into the ground, and yeah, we're all sick of it, but, like, I mean, if you just innovate, innovation sometimes is king. That's all it is.
I think there's a certain amount of that, but I also think that with this composition in particular, I think a lot of supports aren't really comfortable playing these Brig Juno backlines. I think the level of execution we've seen has been, even at the high level, pretty lackluster. I think I see why it's still played. I think just the raw value that Juno provides, especially with that Orbals Array, is far too large for most teams to pass up on. But equally, I think that partially because she's new and partially because she's weird, I think people are still kind of figuring out exactly how for them they want to play personally. If you watch a lot of the Chinese VODs especially, you see a very different style of Juno, almost played as a third DPS on these super aggressive angles, using your rockets and that Medi Blaster just to deal as much damage as you can from an off angle.
Yeah.
I do love it when it's played as like another angle. You know, you have the idea of like pincer, but when you just create like so many different angles, especially if you play Kerry with it as well. Kerry has her own angle as well. You just have like a complete like accompaniment. But we could talk about that all day. We just need to quickly get into the schedule for tonight. So of course today we're starting with EU as usual. So we have Big Ballers versus Everfrog. This match should be pretty good. Both teams are pretty close in the standings, so I'm really excited to break this one down. Later today in NA, we have Franklin Phoenix versus Beagle Bus. As I understand it, both of those teams are undefeated. So someone has to get the first loss there, and I'll be at 20 ET there, Eastern. So check that one out as well. If you're just watching for the EU, you want to be checking out Eddie also. It's going to be a great couple of matches tonight. Ray, what was the point there that you had there? I cut you off.
Oh, no, it's fine. We've kind of moved on. I was just going to say when you play the Juno in that way, it's just very feast or famine. Like, if you don't find the picks, your composition is going to get run over extremely quickly. But if you make it work, it's very powerful. It's like, I could see a team like Zeta, for example, running that when you got Violet and so like some of the other people where they can go on off angles and find kills. But if you can't, then it's going to be very, very bad.
Yeah, Feast or Famine, I think, is going to sum up this matchup that we have today as well, because it's a styles clash tonight, and we'll break down what exactly that means. Big Ballers, shockingly, like to play their ball comps. Everfrog, a little bit more of the brawlier team. You might see more Reinhardt and other tanks of around that kind of like style. So a styles clash today should be very interesting to see. I mean, the standings kind of tell a story as well with these two teams in this tier. So, first of all, Ballers are the top in the standings. Everfrog, not too far behind, only one loss puts them there. Both these teams, though, in the bracket did get 3-0'd by a team in the other group, 0907. So they kind of have a maybe chip on their shoulder, need to prove something here since they did get taken out. Ballers so far in the regular season are undefeated apart from that bracket loss, so they want to keep that going. Everfrog, though, they need to start picking up here if they want to try and stay in that top echelon of the standings. Looking at this one, what are thoughts here, Spec, on the standings, this group in general, and this matchup?
I think that this group is generally very strong. I remember being particularly impressed by how Vaya, for example, played. I do think it's worth mentioning as well, though. I would probably say it's kind of a tier break in between the top three and the rest of the group. I think that Big Ballers, TEC, and Everfrog are all just playing some fantastic Overwatch right now. And even though they have been trading blows with each other 0907, I think they're all still in contention to take the title overall. I think for the teams beneath that, while they're maybe not... they're absolutely not bad teams by any stretch of the imagination. But I think in terms of what they're aiming for in CGL Season 14, it's more looking at like a top 5, top 3 kind of finish that would be considered a success for them.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts here on the standings on this bracket?
Yeah, like I'm inclined to agree with Spec for a lot of this, but I think when you look at the other aspects of how do these teams do good, and he mentioned there's probably a tier break between these top 3 teams and the rest of the group. I think a lot of it does kind of come down to how these teams are playing. When you look at what leads to team success over time, it's usually how much of control are you of the game? Are you setting the paces of the engagements? Are you using your team effectively? Are you coming in and giving yourself every advantage, for whatever comps you're playing? And I do think that those 3 teams in particular have done very well at that. I think the one kind of, I think that's going to be the kind of more difficult thing for everybody else is, kind of looking at these top 3 and going, okay, now we have to throw out everything we've scrimmed against and deal with it. And that kind of a shift in your meta really does kind of make your okay players your meta slaves, or your like decent understanders versus your top contenders, like Spec said.
Exactly, yeah. The time for like slow and steady learning is kind of like getting put to the side now, because it is time to really lock in and try to get as much momentum as you can heading into the actual final bracket there. Ray, your thoughts here on the standings and what we might see in the final bracket in this tier and or in any other tiers?
So I think they're extremely competitive, as everyone mentioned. I kind of want to zoom in on this matchup a little bit, how we talked about how Everfrog, they love to play that brawl, and Big Ballers like to play the Wrecking Ball. I think the one interesting part is, like, let's say you're playing a Ryan composition for Everfrog, because, Spectrum kind of talked about it before. Their tank does like to play Reinhardt. I think, in general, like, just... Obviously, there's some adaptations you can make, but the ball definitely does better against the Rhine. But if Everfrog still likes to play Brawl, you take the Rhine out and you put Orisa in there instead. I like that matchup very much better. Those Javelins do a really good job of disrupting the ball. And then, like, your Fortify, you can't get booped around. So I like that. So if they can make some small adaptations, I think this is going to be a very competitive series.
I think Ray, that's a lot of it right there. Like you said, is the small adaptations. Like this is like these top 3 positions, especially in this division, you have to make those small adaptations. You're never going to win on paper from what you've drawn up beforehand. You have to get into the game, see what's there, and then make those decisions. You can't just rely on your instincts. You have to rely on your instincts more. I apologize on that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think regardless, knowing you're going against a ball team, I'd immediately start out with an Orisa. I would not be going the Rhine. Like, we got to play Orisa for this series.
Yeah,
exactly. Last thing these players want to do is get booped off the map, because they might just end up in a lowlights video. So let's have a little look at what the lowlights video for this week might entail. Let's have a look at a sneak peek.
Aw. How does the old cowboy deal with this one? Well, less well. Oh, there's for sleep. Here comes the beam, though. The beam will be helpful. Did you just drop off this freaking... Were you forced to use this self-destruct, or did you just think, you know what? He's sleeping. He's an EP guy. I'll just drop this here. Does he get clear? Tries their best. Where are you going? What were you just trying to deflect off of this central pillar to avoid the Deadeye? Alright, boys. Oh, we just curve around because of all of the angled surfaces. I've made a boo-boo here.
Baboon, sorry. Yeah, I've seen that Demon Bomb as well before. I like the idea behind it. It just was a little bit too creative, perhaps. I hope they don't feel called out either. Speaking of being called out, though, we have our game of tonight, and so I'm going to hand it over to you to lead us into it.
All right, nerds. We've done lots of stuff with sound, but now we're doing something a little bit different, so welcome to Callouts. Anybody who's been to a wedding knows this game. you've seen it in different aspects, but we're gonna find out how much this camaraderie on the desk has grown. We've all been here for 4 weeks. We still have plenty more, but let's see if we truly understand each other. So I'm gonna give us a question, and all 4 of us are gonna write down our answers. I get to play too because it's kind of a little bit random in this regard. I'm gonna give us a question related to Overwatch, and we're gonna figure out who on the desk would be more likely to be that. So I'm going to say something like, who is most likely to sim teleport their teammates off the map, and we'll have to guess from amongst the desk of who would be most likely to do it. If you match with somebody, you get points. If you don't match, well, you better have a good reasoning, because we're going to be living with that for the rest of our lives. So I need a second to pull up my questions because I sent them to our producer, and I'm an idiot. There we go. So we're going to start off with a nice, easy one on the desk here. Who is most likely to have a correct game prediction? Who on the desk is going to have a correct game prediction?
I got my guess ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm also good, Ray?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Gio, let's start with you.
All right, I'm gonna bring it in onto the forehead here. I went for yourself, so.
Oh, wow. That's a bold guess. All right. So that is a bold guess. Oh, okay. Oh,
But
okay.
Okay,
It can't be
that's
me or
fair.
Gio because I'm cursed.
I said Ray. Ray?
I said me.
Me.
Oh,
All right,
it's
everybody gets a
50-50
point.
split.
50-50 split. Bold of y'all to think that I get right picks.
Dude,
I've
Soab
gotten a
is
couple.
known for having the contract,
yeah.
in the caveat in his contract to make a bad pick every week.
Gio rolls the dice. And
Yeah,
I,
let's like roll
I
dice.
feel like I'm
Gio
actually
Gio
cursed.
does
Anytime I
dice
make a
rolls.
prediction, I'm just wrong. Like,
And Spec just has a bad track record. So
Exactly.
It's just kind of the way it is. All right, so there's our warm-up. There's a nice, easy one. Number 2, who is most likely to try to clutch the 1v5? Who has the blade and is most likely to say, guys, I got this?
It's easy.
easy.
Okay.
We'll go the other way. Ray, you first.
I did Spectreon.
No, that's so rude.
I said
Okay.
Spec. Spectreon. Spec.
I said Gio.
Yeah,
Me?
Spec.
It's true, but I said
Nah, this is slander. This is slander.
This is
I wouldn't-
No, Spectreon from the staff game last year on your Tracer. You're like, no,
Yeah.
guys, I got this.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Did I have it though?
That.
I don't
You're-
remember to be
I don't
Your
think you
Tracer
had
was
it.
against me. Spec, I was playing you on Tracer. I'm like barely silver. Of course you had it. You were fine.
I'll tell you that then.
All right. Number 3. Who is most likely to be the first person to say, let's go goats? Who would be the first person to suggest going goats amongst us?
Okay.
Gio.
So I've went for myself.
Spec.
I went for Gio.
Do we have the full 4? Because I have Gio.
Oh.
I have Gio.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I feel sweet.
All right. This is all right. Everybody's been pretty good. I'm kind of shocked. Maybe I will have to expand it to the full 6. We were kind of in debate if we want to drag the casters into it, but this is a fairly close game.
Yeah,
All right.
we know each other pretty well, it
That's right.
seems.
All right. Who would be the first to rage quit a match? Who among us would be the first to rage quit a match?
I have a
This one is
guess,
tough,
but it's not
actually.
that
This one
good.
is a tough one.
Yeah, for real.
That's a tough one.
So I'm gonna be honest. I don't think any of us would. So
I don't think it,
No.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean. So when you
Yeah,
push the
yeah.
limit, who is most likely there? Ray, I'll go to you. It looks like you have an answer.
I said Spectreon.
I almost said that, but I actually said Ray.
I also said Ray.
Oh, well, it is a 50-50 split because I said Spec.
I've rage quit a game once. I rage quit Team Fortress 2 almost 3 years ago because I tried using the Huntsman. I gave away my entire inventory and I haven't played since. That's the only time I've ever rage quit anything in my
I
life.
think
Wow.
the only game I've rage quit in is Dead by Daylight.
That is incredibly valid. All right, last one. Maybe we'll have a winner out of this, and if not, maybe I'll throw in a bonus question just to try to make it a little bit harder. But our last question for regulation is going to be who amongst us is the Dirty Hanzo main?
I'm ready.
Gio.
It's me.
Did
Oh! wait, hold on a minute.
Ray?
Wow, interesting. I said Geo.
Gio!
Oh, okay.
All right, well, I believe that puts us at Gio and Ray tied at the top of the score. We'll have to
Yeah, I
wait
think
till
it's 5-5. Yeah.
This stuff is 5-5. All
We do a
right,
bonus
Ray. I'm going to. I don't know how I want to solve this. You know what? I didn't think this far. I figured there would be someone who might be. This might separate a little bit further. I'm going to give us one more question, and I'm going to say everybody, whoever matches Spectreon wins this one.
Oh,
damn, okay.
So we're going to match Spectreon. Your last question to declare a winner is going to be, who amongst us is more likely to be a 2 CP defender?
I'm trying to remember if we've ever talked about this.
We have. It's
We probably
normally like,
have.
It's normally like Dex who starts talking insane about 2CP, so...
Then you have not been paying attention, because I think I know what the answer is. All right, Spectreon, will you give us the answer to compare to? Ray, did you pick yourself?
I did pick myself.
Ray, Gio, did you also pick Ray?
Oh, there's a winner because I did not pick Ray.
There's our winner, Ray, once again.
Well played.
He's going to be our winner. Well played. I also love 2CP. I will typically defend it, but Ray, I know, will die harder on that hill. So congratulations, Ray, for winning the callouts.
Nice.
You guys were saying that, by the way.
Well done, everybody. Well done, everybody.
That was fun. Yeah, I used the what's it called? I used the Cupid skin on Hanzo. I don't know about you guys, but that's my go-to.
Are known for being the 2CP and Clash Defenders.
Clash Defenders, yeah.
No, I don't know. You guys are odds.
Yeah. My wires were getting crossed with that discussion because I was remembering the Clash discussion. I was like, did that bring up 2CP? Was that 2CP?
No. I probably did.
Well, we basically admit Paris was a horrible
Paris
map,
was a mistake,
but, like,
yes.
the rest of 2CP was actually pretty good.
Even, like, Horizon Lunar Colony?
Yeah, I love Horizon. I think Horizon's great. I think y'all just don't. I just think people don't understand how to play it. I think y'all are nuts.
People
okay,
just
well,
don't
I hard disagree with that one.
Why are you cooking?
I think Spectreon's head's about to explode.
Yeah, he is.
I've never heard this opinion before.
It's a good map, and I'm tired. Hippie, full screen me right now. Full screen me right now. I'm tired. Horizon Lunar Colony is a good map, and I'm tired of pretending it's not.
Yeah, we're gonna need a new desk. This is insane.
Okay.
We clearly don't know what we're talking about here.
No, we need to add HLC. They need to make like HLC like a Flashpoint or a Clash.
It's gonna probably get moved. It'll get changed eventually. Who knows?
It looked nice at least.
Well, I feel like we could probably talk about this to the end of the broadcast, but let's bring it back then to the matchup of today, which of course is Big Ballers versus Everfrog. We've talked a bit about how this could be a styles clash, but both teams are pretty close in skill level, so this could be quite important, well, will be important, sorry, for the standings moving forward to the eventual grand finals. But let's hear from the players themselves. So our first interview we had was with Big Baller. Let's see who we had and what they had to say.
Alrighty, welcome back everybody. We're here with an amazing interview here. We have, how about you say your name for me, just so I don't butcher it?
Trashite.
Trashite, there we go.
Oh, some people know me as Peach instead.
Some people know you as Peach. Well, Peach, Big Ballers, off to a great start of the regular season so far. Nice 4-0 record. A little bit of hiccup in the mid-season. Do you know maybe any reason that was, or?
No, I'm not sure. I wasn't there to play.
Maybe you were the key component. Maybe you were the thing.
No, I don't think I was. I don't know what happened.
But hey, that's the great thing. The past is the past. You get to move on back to this regular season win streak. You're going up against a solid opponent in Everfrog here. Do you think that, potentially they have any tricks up their sleeve, or do you think you're ready for this matchup?
I think we play a very interesting comp, and our comp is very dominant against sort of the meta at the moment, if we play it right. I think we'll be fine, but they are a good team, so I'd say like 3-2. But I think we'd win.
Ooh. So you do think this will be a close matchup, giving respect
Yeah.
to the opponents. I like that. I like that. But I mean, actually, speaking of the meta, you know, we did have season 13 roll around. Not too many crazy changes, right? But do you think it'll, you know, shake anything up with what you guys like to play or just the overall meta?
I think it makes us easier because we don't really play Juno. We don't think Juno's a great hero for our comp. So then Juno getting nerfed helps our comp be better against the Juno comps. So it's like a buff to us. And also, D.Va didn't get nerfed, and playing Anna break into D.Va is very like suitable for us. So we don't need to worry about the D.Va. But Junker Queen is a big issue though. Junker Queen's a very broken hero, and she just absolutely destroys Anna break with a Juno.
I mean, hey, listen, always right to fear the Junker Queen, but, you know, it'll be very interesting to watch this matchup, but thank you for taking the time to chat with me, of course. And then, we'll be throwing it back to the desk to let them break everything down.
Well, we heard there from one of the big baller squads. They talked about Juno as well, that they don't really feel like it fits into their comp. Spec, what did you hear in that interview that kind of like stood out to you as something that could be important?
I understand that once you play Juno with Bull, it's kind of doable, I think, but it's not optimal. I think you can always just get away with like a Brig Zen if possible. That's almost your best combo. But not thinking Juno is a great hero, in terms of the power level, is a bit insane. I understand also not thinking she's well designed. That's another argument for another day. In terms of her raw power value, I still think that she is pound for pound the strongest pick in the game right now, and there isn't really much competition bar maybe like Orisa. She is incredibly strong. Her healing is still insane, and like I mentioned before, Orbital Array is the best ultimate in the game. Not playing her is somewhat viable, and I agree with pretty much everything else he said, but I'm going to go zero back in and say the hero still needs to be like Thanos snaps, please.
Love it. Like you always turn it back into like one of your Spectrum opinions that you have. A certified opinion.
He's got the takes. You gotta give it to him.
Well, yes, not having a Juno, it could be a crux in their plan, but let's hear from the other team who may be more likely to play Juno. Let's hear from a player from Everfrog.
Alrighty, here we have an amazing interview from the side of Everfrog. We've got Unto with us today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking, but let's go ahead and get right into it. How has the season been going for Everfrog?
I mean, it's been going pretty decent. We had 2 FF1 game, but other than that, like we've been doing pretty well. Like we went really far in the one tournament as well, the middle season tournament or whatever it was.
Yeah, you guys made it to that finals in mid-season, so, you know, you got a lot of hype around you right now. But, you know, looking towards the future, right, we did just have Season 13 come in, and a lot of people, you know, maybe not the most impactful patch in the world, but do you think there's anything in that patch that's worth looking into?
I mean, for us, like, the new patch, it's fine, because, like, we were pretty dog on the old patch. Like, fine.
I mean, hey, yeah, new patches can definitely change things up. And then specifically today, up against the big ballers, you know, did you prepare any specific strats, or are you just coming into this playing your own game?
I mean, our flex support Pixels, he's been trying to cook up some crazy comps, but I've heard that the enemy team plays ball or something like that. So we'll see what we play, because we've been struggling against ball before, but I think we probably know what to do. You'll see in the game.
Ooh, I like that confidence, seeing it in the game. Well, I'll go ahead and let you go work with your team and get ready for that matchup, and we'll throw it to the desk to break down all of that riveting information.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that and hearing his accent. I've come to think of it, I don't know if I've ever met someone who's Finnish that is like bad at Overwatch. I feel like there's like a natural buff. Maybe I've just been around like good Finnish players. Historically, one of my players on my old team is Finnish as well. So, what stood out to you in that interview as important going forward into this match?
I think the most important thing that I heard, that so many, not even teams, but just players, don't always get to do, is that acknowledgement of your weaknesses. A lot of teams just kind of pave over it to go, oh, we just, it's ball, they're a bad hero, no one likes playing against them, and excuse that. But to acknowledge that this is a weak point for us, and we're working on that, we're cooking on that, we're trying to actively find something against that, that tells me that the team is not only just looking at, what is the meta doing, what's best for them, but they're also looking and going deeper into those VOD reviews and going, all right, let's try to really focus in on some of those struggle points and take that macro element away so we can focus on winning in the micro moments.
Yeah, we've had a few of teams where they're quite open about their weaknesses and very honest. It's been quite refreshing. This season seems to have a lot of players that are really on it in terms of improvement, and they know where they lack and where they don't lack. So it's been really refreshing to see, and it's made some really good matches as well. Let's have a full breakdown there of the Big Baller squad. So of course we heard from one of them in the support lineup, and we have the rest of them here. Their tank is going to be Golden Pants, who is from the UK. Shout out there. We have Zhao and Yibzi there on the DPS. You have I don't know how to pronounce that one. It's not on my sheet. Ace, and Valbox. That is on my sheet. I'm just blind, sick. So this is the Big Baller squad. Of course, we'll be looking out for Wrecking Ball. Has hovered the Junker Queen on this lineup there. I don't know if that's just a stylistic choice, but maybe if they bring that out, it could be a wee bit of a surprise for the opponents as well. The opponents being Everfrog. We heard from Unto there. This is a squad that is majority Finnish with 2 Germans as well. You've got Nevs there on the tank, a historically great Reinhardt player. So going up against the Wrecking Ball, it is a bit of a weakness. Maybe we see another tank come out to try and flex and cover for that. We have Unto and Liwai as well on the DPS, with Pixels and Zoom there on the support lineup. And yes, it's Brawl versus Ball. It is a styles clash. This is going to be a game that could really, really lean on what map is being played, which could really lean us towards it being a 5-map series. Thinking about the breakdown there in terms of Ball versus Ryan Ray, what are your thoughts on what this matchup could potentially look like?
I think we were talking a lot about this before the match. We all have Preds, and we're going to get to that in just a few short minutes. Every single Pred we made, we were talking about how we feel is extremely valid. We can see any of these scenarios playing out, whether it's a 3-0, a 3-1, a 3-2 for either direction. This series is going to be very wacky and very interesting. And I think what we all agree is this is going to be an exchange of map picks. It may come down to who gets the final map pick. It's going to be just because their compositions are so clashing.
I just want to hop on as well and say one of the reasons as well it's so hard to judge, I think, is because these are 2 playstyles that aren't that common. It's not like we can just look at their macro execution and say, I think X player is on higher form, or I think they're playing as a unit better. It's a very strange use case. I think we heard from Everfrog, they're not really used to playing against Bull. And so I think that's going to be a huge question mark here. Can they adapt? Will either team be able to adapt, or will someone just start bashing their head into a brick wall?
Well, let's hope we don't see too many heads and brick walls today, but let's get into our predictions and see what everyone on the desk was thinking. Starting off with myself, of course, I always roll the dice to see what the Fates themselves believe, and the Fates have decided that it will be a 3-1 to Big Baller. I disagree with the dice. I do actually think it will be a 3-2. I do think we're going to see 5 maps. But, Big Baller, they do have the stylistic advantage where they're more likely to get an advantage in a lot of maps, personally. So I do agree that Big Baller wins, so I do agree with my dice in that aspect. Spec, what have you predicted for this matchup?
I predicted 3-2 for Big Ballers. I thought that I was so impressed by watching them before. I thought their coordination was absolutely there. And as well, typically the way I personally like to beat up Bull comps is with Winston. You can get harder dives onto the backline and win these fights up pretty quick. Considering we don't really have access to any sort of dive comps on the side of Everfrog, I think that's going to be a huge issue for them going forward. Ray mentioned the Orisa. I think it might just not be enough, so that's why I've got them winning out 3-2.
Exactly, and coordination is so important for the type of comp that they play as well, because if you play that just slightly out of tune, you're just going to get rolled and you'll get nothing from it, so I absolutely agree. Soav, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Just kind of echoing what Ray said, I'm kind of contractually required to take an insane pick here. There's not one. There's not in a, like, this will never happen. I actually did go with Everfrog, though. I think kind of to bounce off a spec for a second. I do think that when you look at both teams and what they're trying to do, it is much harder to make a ball team come together in the moment and make all of those pieces work. It's much easier to just get a death ball to run things down. And I think that in that regard, I think Everfrog might be able to steal this out. It's easier to get 5 people onto whoever you leave in the back line versus, trying to run out a ball and just not chasing them. It really is going to come down to how these teams really execute, I think, on their overall comp pick. So I think they just stand out in the littles bit, since Brawl's a little bit easier to execute.
Exactly, and on the night of the match, you never really know, is everyone at 100% energy-wise? Are they, like, at their peak? It does take just one slight out of time, like, movement on one of these incredibly fast-moving parts of a ball comp for it to really fall apart. So, yeah, I do see where you're coming from in terms of it being a lot easier to sustain the death match, the brawl, sorry. Ray, what are your predictions here for this match?
Well, I think it's going to be a very competitive, very back and forth kind of match. Not gonna lie, I made my pick, but I probably should have checked, since we're in a stagnant map pool here. I did not look at the map pool, but I did go 3-1 in favor of the Big Ballers. And now looking at the map pool, I think they have a chance. I think the ball can work on a lot of these maps that are in the pool. Just looking at it, it's Ilios, Hollywood, Throne, Coliseo, and Dorado.
Yeah.
So I think 3 of the Ilios and the Hollywood and then Dorado, those can work well for balls. So I think they can take 3 maps for sure.
I mean, Dorado now has elevators and stairs, Ray.
Hey, you're right, but I still think you're right. That will help. Just still.
It's truly a toss-up. It really just is.
This might be the matchup where we see truly how effective the elevator is and the stairs are. So I'm actually excited to see, if we get to Dorado, what it's going to actually physically look like. Well, we weren't alone in predictions, because, of course, we've got our casters in Fletch and Megan Lass, who will be covering the matchup. Let's have a little look at what Fletch thought about this matchup. Fletch going 3-1 for Everfrog. That is a bold prediction, I think. It does align with you, Suav, in terms of what team is going to win.
Fletch and I agree on something. I'm actually kind of shocked. That's the first time that's happened in quite some time now.
Well, let's have a look if Megalas also agreed with that. It's a 3-0 to CGL. CGL wins. Everybody wins.
We truly
the house
win
always
here.
wins.
That's Big Baller, apparently, I've been told. So 3-0 to Big Baller. Megalas doesn't even think it's going to be close. And that's interesting, because Mega's the one with the insider knowledge. They're the one going in and interviewing these players. So maybe there's just something we don't know. Well, let's ask. Let's have a wee conversation with our casters, Into Fletch and Megalas. Let's have them join us here on the desk.
All right, so
Fletch, Mega, how you doing? Mega, I want to jump right back into your prediction. You think it's a 3-0 to Ballers?
Okay, my thought process. Well, I watched that grand finals with Everfrog. They didn't believe they could win, so they did not put forth that much effort. They openly talked about how they're worried about the ball. I feel like if they see maps 1 and 2 slip out of their favor, which we think, Ilios Hollywood definitely can, they're not going to have the energy. They're just going to say, all right, we're done. We're just going to clock out for the day. And that's why I'm thinking that 3-0 is going to come through.
Interesting. Especially because a lot of them are finished, so they're 2 hours ahead of me in spec right now, so it is actually, it's 9 o'clock that this match starts for them, so it is kind of later, so maybe they will run out of gas. Fletch,
they're just EP boys. That's just all it is. They're just
EP boys. That's all it is. Fletch, you seem to disagree quite heavily with that. You have 3-1 to Everfrog.
I think that I understand Ilios is a bit more of it can be a divey map, but I kind of agree with Soev. it's a little bit easier. Like I saw a very, very lackluster. I don't want to say lackluster yesterday. I casted a Wrecking Ball matchup on Ilios yesterday, and it took them a long time to get that composition rolling, even on a map like Ilios, right? I don't know. I do think that big ballers, they are very, very good at what they do, clearly. You know, they made it to, top 4 on a non-meta composition, basically one-tricking it, right? But I agree with Soav, which we're going to have to talk about that later.
Yeah.
We agree all right?
I
don't know
I
what
have
you're
no idea what you're talking about. I don't remember the last time we agreed on anything.
I don't know, man. But yeah, I think it's going to be really close. I think that this is definitely a match, like y'all said. It could go either way. The map pool definitely suggests that at the moment. I haven't seen such a polar opposite map pool before. 2 dive maps, 2 brawly maps, and then back to another dive map. It's like back and forth, playing ping pong with these 2 teams. So I think it's going to be a really interesting close match.
Yeah, it's really set us up for an entertaining one, but there's only so much that we can talk about the theory of what this match will be. I think it's time to see practically what this match will be, so let's get into it. Fletch, Mega, take us away.
All right, man. Megalas, how are you feeling this morning? I guess it's not morning anymore.
I'm feeling
it's
like
2 p.m. for you, 1 for me.
Yeah, our West Coast friends, good morning. But yeah, no, listen, I'm keeping it frank. I don't know. Everfrog, like, this first map is going to determine a lot, right? Because I came in with that bold 3-0. You really are worried about how they're going to handle, if they're going to be able to stand up to the ball, right? As long as they look competitive, I think that's going to keep spirits high and keep them pushing forward in this match. Because, all of these dive maps, we've seen with Overwatch, right? The changes that have been coming through, everything that's been happening to sort of make the dive less forced and more so, give Brawl a chance to really shine and let it do what it does best here. So we will have to see if Everfrog has sort of learned and managed to adapt to that.
Yeah, and as we get a look at our map pool one more time here, it's going to be rough here early on. I mean, there are ways that this rush that, Everfrog likes to run can be run on Ilios, but for the most part, you think of Lighthouse, very, very dive-oriented. You think of, a lot of high ground control around that area. And, I mean, it's going to be rough, right? I agree with you wholeheartedly. Everfrog, if they want to have a chance at winning the series, they have to pick up Ilios, because it's going to be so hard to do it on Hollywood. I mean, it's going to be rough if they aren't able to pick this one up. I do think that the other 2 maps here are going to favor them. That's why, I think I agree that it could be a 5-map series. I was a little bold in my prediction, just based off of the fact that Everfrog was the runner-ups in the mid-season tournament. I think that they have what it takes to get it done. But if they don't pick up one of these first 2 maps, probably Ilios, I do not know if they're going to be able to clean it up.
Exactly, and that's sort of the concern, right? Because again, flashing back to that mid-season, I watched it with my own 2 eyes live. Everfrog came into that very sort of mentally defeated. They simply did not believe they stood a chance against 0907, and they sort of just trolled and floundered about for 3 maps until 09 claimed that victory. There wasn't even an effort put forth here. So Everfrog, I mean, maybe now that they're back in the regular season, this seeding is going to start mattering as they get more and more matches under their belt. They hopefully will be bringing their A game, but again, when you have those little mental slip-ups, when you have that block of just, oh, we can't beat this team, we don't know how to handle this, that's where you're going to see some of these top teams start to falter and fall by the wayside.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for as important as, strategy and mechanics are in this game, that third factor, that mentality factor, it's extremely important, because you can be the most disgusting mechanically gifted player on the planet, but if you don't have the confidence to use that mechanical gift, like, you're never going to amount to anything, right? So for Everfrog, they need to, like, even if they believe that they're not better than the team that they're playing against, they need to trick themselves into doing so, right? It's such a powerful thing that if you think that you can win, you can probably win.
Exactly. It's just sort of that sort of mentality different, right? David versus Goliath. You can always be the one to throw the stone here. Of course, you can also be crushed by the wayside. It really comes down to just how you're feeling in the moment here. But as we are looking towards the spawn rooms, we are starting out on Lighthouse. Normally a very prominent map. You see a lot of Ash play, that high ground being used to its full potential. I don't think you're going to see any of that in this match specifically. You big ballers, they're on what we know them on, right? This Juno Brig backline still very sustainable despite getting a few nerfs here on that dive. Meanwhile, Everfrog, they are going to be committing to the Reinhardt to start here. It is going to be the Brawl, so I think it's really going to be Everfrog's goal to get onto point and sort of maintain their presence here, especially because their sim is leaving the spawn room.
So nothing too surprising here as we head into Ilios Lighthouse. Everfrog going to try to use their Reinhardt dive composition with Unto on that Symmetra, trying to find a way to get out of this room comfortably. TP on it to the point, a roll through from Golden Pants, deals a lot of damage, but not going to ultimately amount to much other than healing. Not quite able to find it. Golden Pants just being a menace on this point right now. Dealing so much damage on these roll-throughs. They're able to stay alive, weather the storm, get the flip here early, but nobody has fallen just yet until Trakite does end up going down. There will be trades, but Everfrog are continually able to keep it. But, I mean, it's 2 for 2 here early in this fight. Nobody has... Golden Pants has Minefield? And Matrix comes out from Pixels. I mean, we're seeing these ultimates come out so quickly. The follow-up onto Pixels there from Zhao is able to put Everfrog in the dirt here. It's just the Reinhardt left, and 30% is all they will amount to.
I mean, 30% all they amount to, that's a pretty bold statement in and of itself. But yeah, that is all they're going to be walking away with for the moment here. And you're seeing how crucial of a player Pixels is going to be for this composition to work, right? The amount of sustain coming out from that Baptiste, how quickly they built up to the amplification matrix as well, while the value wasn't there from it. You see the healing that's coming from it. Now, big ballers, they can't hold on the point as easily here, so that's why you're seeing probably just another Symmetra TP for Everfrog to try to establish.
But the stick onto Nevish, antied as well. Dragon Blade pulled, but the sound barrier not good to save Pixels. Nevish very low, taken down, cleaned up by the roll through of Golden Pants, who is also going to dispatch of Unto as well. And with that, Everfrog sent one more time right back to spawn.
And it was just sort of that Blade Pulse investment here for ballers. They're going to be coming up on another minefield as well as that powerful orbital ray. That being said, Everfrog is working towards some good tools themselves, right? This Earth Shatter can be monumental, but it's probably going to only be able to lock down 1 to 2 targets unless you're able to find more than that here. But a TP to the high ground to start this fight off.
Now immediately going to drop down. They see the Wrecking Ball, but Zhao is already found Pixel. Anti there on it to the Reinhardt. Unfortunately, Nevish very low, taken down with the help of the Orbital Ray. Unfortunately, this Blizzard from Leewai not going to find a target and will just be staggered here.
Yep, off the map for the May here. And I mean, that was a huge investment to come out from the side of Everfrog where they didn't ultimately get anything from it. 0 deaths on the ball. Golden Death, Golden Pants looking Golden Deathless, I should say. Having this minefield still, didn't even have to use it, as well as a nano boost whenever. I mean, that can be lethal with a slam. You definitely can remove a support super quick from the fight.
All right, now over to the Orisa here for Everfrog is Big Ballers are going to cross the 90% mark. Slam going to come down. Pixels will avoid the damage from the slam. Will able to be living here as Zhao had actually gone over to the Pharah. A little bit of pressure here from the Genji onto this Symmetra. Will they be able to get rid of Yibs? Yeah, it's a 2 for 2 trade here. Unfortunately, Golden Pants farming these minefields left and right. Will be able to clean up Unto, and unfortunately Nevish just trying to milk the time, get the late, maybe somebody else touches, but this should be Big Ballers grabbing this.
Yeah, this absolutely should be here. Nice pick from Pixels here, but it'll probably be the last one coming through as that overtime is going to dwindle. And it really is just showing how good Big Ballers are at this ball composition, how stable they look. Everfrog, with their brawl, they had the right idea of getting to point and trying to establish a presence there because it's easier for them than the ball. But once that ult game started coming online, there was just too many tools on the side of the Big Ballers that, they couldn't weather the storm of these fights.
Golden Pants was ridiculous. I mean, I want to say probably close to 20-0. I don't have the live stats in front of me right now, but when we last saw the stats, it was 14-0, and they won, another fight and a half after that. Just ridiculous. There weren't a whole lot of deaths on the side of Big Ballers, regardless of who they're playing, but now we're headed over to the well, and it will be a full comp switch here for Everfrog. They're on this Brig Juno with the Orisa, what's considered the meta here. Golden Pants getting pretty low, able to jump away, stay alive in the face of adversity there for the moment. Unto from the low ground, able to keep eyes on Golden Pants. Don't want to be too threatened anymore with this Brig now. They're going to try to find the Brig, and they will. Luckily, it will be a trade here. Ace goes down in trade of Zoom, and they're trying to get rid of these DPS, and Golden Pants with their first death there. Gibbs very low. I mean, there is just so much happening over here right now as Zhao cleans up too. Unto's able to get rid of Gibbs, but it's not enough because Zhao is just on a tear.
I mean, absolutely ridiculous here, but now with the bat being a one-person set, it's actually a support duel, and the ball being back means that Big Baller should continue to hold this and could potentially get more picks.
Alright, Golden Pants slams down. Stuck, unfortunately, by the lamppost, half HP, able to get away without even having to use the adaptive shield, so the healing coming down pretty good from Pixels at the moment as Everfrog tries to establish themselves on this point. Slam gonna come down, but unfortunately, Trakite the first to fall. Unto trying to use this Deadeye to find a pick. Big spear from Nevish to put Golden Pants out of commission. And now it is going to be these desperation touches to grab as much time as possible for Big Ballers.
Yeah, but that time is going to be dwindling, and Everfrog finally has stabilization on the point, right? Where I'm really liking this Cassidy pick. It shuts down any and everything you need it to. That flashbang should be resulting in a guaranteed pick every single time you see it used. That being said, Everfrog is playing this rather smart. Their supports are playing in far-off positions. Pixel played a majority of that fight up on the high ground.
I mean, we're going to see the Dragon Blade in here from Gibbs, but Unto's able to drop them. The minefield going to deny this small room, but unfortunately, Everfrog has just evacuated him with 2 picks. Now 3. They're sitting pretty.
I mean, that was such a heavy investment for the side of Big Ballers, right? We see them throw in both their DPS ults and that minefield. Ultimately, for not here and now with a Dragon Blade as well as this Terra Surge, you could pull everybody together, force out that Immortality field, and then really let Levi go to town with this blade for the next fight. It's looking all up for Everfrog right now.
All right, here we go. One more time in for Big Ballers. See Golden Pants trying to find something as Trakite gonna throw down that Amp Matrix. The Terra Surge is out. It's gonna catch Gibbs. And unfortunately, another ultimate goes to the wayside. Another 2 for Big Ballers, just absolutely wasted.
Yeah, and that's both of those support ults. Orbital Ray, normally a guaranteed fight winner here. And, Everfrog only having to invest the Terra Surge. We're talking about them potentially having to use a combo. Instead, Levi gets to hold onto this blade, knowing there's no support ult on the other side. No Immortality field now with a swap over to the Brig means that this blade really can just go hog wild on the backline.
All right. Only the Pulse Bomb in the hands of Big Ballers for the moment. Golden Pants looking for something. Dragon Blade going to come out, unfortunately, just going to try and force those cooldowns out. Going to be right back into the sheath, but Drakai has fallen. Luckily, though, Zhao and Yibs are here to save the day. Yibs rotating around, but the Orbital Ray is going to be a massive threat, especially now that Golden Pants has fallen. Yibs trying to build up to this Dragon Blade, but very, very low. Now very, very dead. A great response from Everfrog there on Ilios well to even the score.
And I mean, it really came down to the counters, right? Orisa just very sustainable, very durable against any and all of this dive. The supports as well, they were playing in such better positioning for the side of Everfrog, right? Able to take care of each other, get that healing in where it needed to, really just help the rest of their team stay alive throughout this point as well. So that's going to be something to be a focus for the rest of this match, right? Will Big Ballers be able to, get onto these supports, or are they going to, end up getting a little bit injured, a little bit waylaid on the way there? That being said, maybe some adaptations right now. Zhao hovering over the Pharah. Would be interesting to see this leave spawn, as they know the Cassidy was on the other side, but Everfrog, if it's not broke, don't fix it. They're just going to be running the same exact composition, that Cassidy Genji doing what it can and finding those picks.
All right, here we go. Golden Pants hanging up in the rafters, trying to find something early. Caught out by Nevish. Unfortunately, that spear not going to find the target, as the strafes are crazy for this Wrecking Ball. Does end up rolling away, but Unto, that Cassidy has fallen, the first casualty here on Ilios Ruins. So without that, it's just going to kind of be free reign for this Big Baller squad to take this first flip.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. Big Ballers, they're worse for wear, but they're able to sustain after the fight, right? Just by removing that Orisa from the equation. Big Ballers, their whole composition, it's dive, right? It wants to focus one target, remove them from the fight as quick as possible, and then sort of take their time from there, right? Creating that initial pick advantage is the name of their game. And, it's going to be on this DPS line of Everfrog to sort of stop that from happening.
Slam going to come down from Golden Pants, able to... the healing actually coming through insane for Unto, and Leewi's actually able to get the better of the Genji duel. Now Golden Pants swinging back through, trying to come into the rescue. Unfortunately, Unto stuck in a corner. Gonna be able to get the flashbang there onto the Wrecking Ball. The Orbital Ray gonna come down to stabilize this fight for Everfrog, and it will do just that. Traykite has fallen. The minefield going to be annoying here for Everfrog, but as they just walk right around it, they have this ability to take the fight as Nevish returns, rally in, but so is Zoom way in there. Flip gonna come through from Everfrog, and Big Ballers will just opt to back off for a moment.
I mean, yeah, you got both support outs in trade for a minefield. That's everything you could ask for and more. So Big Baller's going to be able to push back into this one now with a plethora of ults to choose from. You have this barrage. It's a looming threat, but it will make the Pharah vulnerable. So that nano boost may need to be applied to keep her alive.
He's walking Deadeye out. A lot of damage there. And Golden Pants somehow able to stay alive. But Traykite now has an orbital ray of their own. A little bit of anti there on to the opposite backline. Zhao, 3 HP, stays alive, and Big Ballers are going to be able to grab this flip right back.
Yeah, I mean, some nice percentage built up here, and luckily not too heavy of an invest, simply because Everfrog didn't have everything online just yet, so they're going to be coming in this next one with pretty heavy ult batting on both sides here. I think, again, you're going to be watching for this Pharah, right? The barrage, it feels potent, it feels like it can do a lot, but can also just get shut down so incredibly quickly, especially now that Unto has actually gone over to the Echo, potentially to try to take this aerial duel just a little bit more effectively, but I kind of worry about missing that flashbang for the ball.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm a little bit questionable of it as well, but we'll see as we get into this fight. Okay. Yeah, so Zhao able to drop Unto early, and the Nano Barrage is great for the pick onto Nevish, and that was pretty quick.
I mean, very quick, but Everfrog should get another touch here. They'll have the Juno Speedring get him out of spawn. They have a Terror Surge, but it seems like they're trying to end this here and now with the minefield in the spawn room.
Yeah, just to be an obstacle at the very least. 96, 97%. Will there be a touch? There will. They get onto the point, but Yibs and Zhao are already dead. Pixels, unfortunately, needed to use the Orbital Ray to stay alive in that moment, but the flip will end up coming through from Everfrog.
I mean, I wouldn't say unfortunately at all. Like, obviously, maybe you would have wanted it for the future, sure, but, absolutely make that investment. You still have some other tools to work with. We're already almost up to an Echo duplicate despite Unto just switching over. Meanwhile, Big Ballers, they've tapped out their ult bank entirely, which means they have to take a dry fight here, but they have no tools to work with.
Alright, Unto gonna try to find something here. Unfortunately not able to grab that. The focusing beam will, though, and oh my god, Unto pops the dupe, gets one, goes home. Beautiful direct shots onto Zhao, and that locks up the fight right there for Everfrog.
And that's absolutely worst case scenario. Big Ballers didn't get a chance to build any ult charge in that fight. They don't have anything else to their name right now, and they're going to be going to a final fight again, still against this Terra Surge. A rally from Zune to keep everybody healthy and sustained. I mean, Big Ballers, it's an uphill battle for sure here, and it might be off the back of their DPS to find this early pick.
Need something bad here. The Orbital Ray going to come down. The Terra Surge is the answer. A lot of damage onto Trakite. That Juno very, very low, but Ace is even lower, 99 to 99, and Nevish drops 2. Leeway with this pulse bomb, ready to go, looking for an opportunity to use it and seize their victim. Hyper Ring in. Are they able to get rid of Trakite? The answer is maybe, but not quite just yet. Minefield gonna come down. Nevish anteed up. Do they have what they need? Unto gets rid of that Juno in the backline. Finally, Flip May gonna come through here for Everfrog one more time. Tracer and Genji return. Golden Pants burned down by the focusing beam of Unto, and unfortunately they cannot get back on the point. Everfrog strike first, and that is what they need.
Yeah, we were talking about it, right? This map pool, it's so ball favored. You needed to take one of these early maps, and it was going to be Ilios as your easiest chance to get in here against the ball comp. And that shows that Everfrog is definitely here, ready to play at their best right now. They're on this standard meta, the Orisa, the Juno Brig backline as well, keeping them nice and healthy. You know, they're no longer the silly meme team playing comps for fun. They've locked in, and they've shown that they are capable of, you know, playing the meta with the best of them.
Yeah, and I mean, this Lighthouse round, that's a different team. I mean, Everfrog tried to build their adaptations near the end of Lighthouse. Just too little, too late. You know, they were already, you know, well in the ground by the end of that Lighthouse map. But as we see the adaptations come through, Unto on the Cassidy, a big game changer. Even on to the Echo, those switches from Unto, very, very strong. And I mean, just as a team, Everfrog came together and understood, hey, we need this map. We want to win. Like, we want to be able to do these silly things. Like, obviously, if you can win doing silly things, you'd love to do that, right? Mm-hmm. But as a competitive team, there has to be a point where if you want to win, you have to understand that you cannot get away with shenanigans all the time. And we saw Everfrog kind of suck it up and say, hey, it's time to play the Orisa, the Wrecking Ball. Very, very annoying. Only 4 deaths that entire map. Unfortunately, the adaptations from the side of Everfrog were just that much better.
Yeah, and it's crazy because if you're looking at the stats, you'd immediately assume on first glance, oh, clearly Big Ballers were the ones that won that map, right? But no, I mean, you lost the battle, but you won the war. You won the fights that you needed to for the side of Everfrog, right? Coming in, again, on those clutch hero picks, you know, doing what they needed to. I think we also have to clearly highlight Unto, not only on that Cassidy, but the Echo towards the end, just absolutely a carry player. But, you know, really, I think everybody knows what we have to look at. It is this tank mirror, right? The Wrecking Ball was getting great value here for Golden Pants. But meanwhile, Nevish on the other side, you know, starting on the Rhine probably wasn't looking that great. But then once going over to the Orisa, had a little bit more of sustainability and maybe survivability. But, I mean, if you're looking at the stats, again, you'd think it's all Golden Pants all day.
Yeah, and sometimes that is... the stats just don't tell the whole story, right? You can sometimes look at stats and say, hey, that was a blowout. Like, if you've got, like, 3 deaths across the team, right? That is a very, very strong performance. Unfortunately, that's just kind of Wrecking Ball's MO, is not dying. Unfortunately, that's really all Wrecking Ball does, is not die and be annoying. So, I mean, Golden Pants... very, very strong on the Wrecking Ball. Unfortunately, it's not an insane damage character, right? At least it's not insane burst damage. It's a lot of follow-up from the DPS to find a lot of success on Wrecking Ball. And unfortunately, on those last 2 maps, they just didn't have it. Like, Golden Pants lived, but if nobody else does, what does it matter?
Exactly, and this is potentially a repeat of what we saw in the midseason, right? Big Ballers coming in 4-0, dominant team. Everybody's like, oh, the off meta, the ball, it looks scary. You come up against one team that's playing meta, they're coordinated, they look strong on it, and then you sort of falter, right? As we saw across that Ilios map. But, still plenty of series to bounce back. But I think this map is going to be very, very crucial, right? Big Ballers cannot allow Hollywood to slip through their fingers, because otherwise, looking at the rest of the series, it's going to be such an uphill battle for these Wrecking Ball comps, especially when you look towards modes like Clash and Push, just how unbelievably difficult it can be to work with. But focusing on the here and now, Hollywood, you have tons of high ground to play with across all 3 points. You're going to be seeing, possibly some mirror dive, right? This is one of the few maps where in this Orisa meta we haven't even seen that much Orisa gameplay. It's definitely been more of the Winston and the Diva coming through here. So we will have to see if Everfrog, again, if they're willing to put away the meme picks, if they're willing to step up and play a serious game here to thwart what Big Ballers are throwing at them.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if Big Ballers want to stay in the series, they need this, right? Because even if they're able to pick up, maybe Throne of Anubis, right? It's such a, it's hard to win especially because Everfrog have decided that they're not going to run their Reinhardt shenanigans, right? They're willing to play what we generally consider the best comp right now. They have flexed over to that Orisa, and even if it's a little bit weaker on Hollywood, even if we see this dive mirror, that Everfrog probably aren't going to be as confident in, right? I still struggle to see like a super easy path to victory in those next 2 maps. Losing Ilios, I think in this series, Ilios was a very pivotal map. I think that because Everfrog was able to win on Ilios, they have a much easier path to victory here than Big Ballers do. And Big Ballers, if they had won Ilios, they would have had, it might have gone 5 maps just because, a couple of those maps in between are pretty, rush reliant, brawl reliant. But ultimately on Dorado probably could have won out on the dive. But because they weren't able to pick up Ilios, it's just going to be way more difficult.
Exactly. This uphill battle is now what you're going to have to see Big Ballers overcome, right? Which is why, even though this map doesn't officially decide the series, it is going to be super crucial that they can't let this slip through their fingers, right? Because at least on the side of Everfrog, we've seen adaptation. They're willing to switch, right? Big Ballers, this is their bread and butter. They are playing Wrecking Ball, there could be nukes heading towards the earth and everything could go to ash. And I promise you, the Golden Pants will still be on Wrecking Ball. It is just the nature of how they like to play. It's what this team is built around and what they know to do. I do like some of the other hero swaps, though. The Ash, again, going to be so nice across the entire map here. Tons of high grounds to play across. Some good sight lines as well here to sort of outrange that Cassidy and sort of maybe poke the Orisa and other heroes as they try to walk forward. That being said, Everfrog are walking out. Okay, I was going to say, do not walk out with the Mercy. Please, for the love of Neptune. I see enough of them in my ring.
All right, well, no Mercy to be seen here, but a very interesting comp here from Big Baller to Trakite on the Yari, but Golden Pants just explodes. Oh my god, what a spear from Nefish. Jesus. And without Golden Pants, there's just no chance.
Yeah, no, you're going to see just a full-scale disengage here for Ballers. They could potentially set themselves up for another touch at the very tail end of this point. You're going to have the ball back, but how good is this touch going to be when there's so much progress already given away?
Slam comes through, but Unto has just decided that Ace is dead. It's just desperation now here for Everfrog. They're going to slam back in without Nevish in this fight. But it has to be a continuous string of, these late staggered kills. The flashbang, unfortunately, going to put Gibbs away. Very low is Golden Pants, and so is their chances at winning that fight. Jesus.
Nevish on this Orisa has been doing what they need to, right? The spear onto the Wrecking Ball, and it immediately being able to be followed up on by the rest of the team, right? That's showing how coordinated Everfrog is right now and how much they understand what they need to do. But it's going to be a little bit harder. Again, it's going to be about controlling these high grounds, right? If the Ash is able to rain down from you, as long as Golden Pants doesn't make another mistake getting caught out, then this should hopefully be a time where Big Ballers can buy some time off the clock.
A little more difficult, but Trakite has died, and I mean, now both supports go down as Levi is just, hey, I'll be Cart Princess. The rest of y'all, take it over.
I mean, Everfrog, they're just looking on a tear right now. They have the momentum behind them. They have the full swing in their sails. And, you know, they're just looking great. They're able to sort of thwart the ball anywhere it goes. There's no space for the rest of the team to really work with, right? The supports are under constant fire. Zhao isn't getting the angles they need to try to, you know, get picks on the Ash. And so you just sort of have to wonder, right? At what point do you realize it's just too much?
Nevish, spear spins in. That's 2 for the Orisa of Everfrog. Unto does end up falling, but it does not matter. Everything is coming up Everfrog right now.
I mean, they're untouchable right now. The ball's going to die. This should be the point B cap as well. They're going to have over 5 minutes in the bank heading into Hollywood third. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It seems like Ballers have been dismantled down to their core. They've been figured out, and it's completely on them now to try to sort of figure out if there's some sort of adaptation or anything they can do to change up the game, or if Everfrog's just going to keep running away with it.
And you know what, Megalast? The hard part's over.
Yeah.
B was the pain point for this map. Now we're headed into C. It should just be smooth sailing if Everfrog can continue to keep this up. There will be a touch there on the cart from Golden Pants to try and deny the free push. They're going to be able to force Levi back for a moment. Golden Pants is not going to get hit by that spear, but Everfrog, they're just chilling right now.
I mean, yeah, there's no reason for them to not chill, right? They just sort of have everything going for them. They're able to set everybody up where they want, but they're throwing in the bob to start.
Yeah, answered by the orbital ray. Zhao's bob just eviscerated there. And so too goes Ace. Now with this pulse bomb ready to go, you know Levi wants to find that target. But I mean, they won't even need to.
I mean, yeah, this truly is a dismantling of the highest caliber right now. Everfrog is on a tear. Their momentum is just going to keep going.
And I mean, that's just going to be so much damage onto Zhao, taking it down. Now the nano boost onto Golden Pants. Transcendence out late. They need to find this pick onto Zoom with that anti applied, but they just cannot. 3 minutes, 45 seconds, 5 meters to go. Booped back. Golden Pants is dead. And, I mean, Everfrog just absolutely punched a hole straight through Big Ballers. What the hell just happened?
I mean, every puzzle has a solution, right? The Wrecking Ball puzzle has been solved. But really, it was, you know, jokes aside, everything like that, it was super momentum-based, right? Once you lose Golden Pants here, you had to wait. You had to take sort of a quick initiation fight where somebody had to try to control point progress and make sure there was objective contest the entire way through. And then from here, right, it was just sort of the momentum continued to build for Everfrog, right? They never got complacent. They weren't trying to just, sit on cart and see and wait for the ball to get proactive. They were being the proactive people, right? We saw the positioning being taken. We saw them going forward, doing exactly what Everfrog is supposed to do in this situation, which is just beat the aggression that Ballers wants to throw at you. So now on the other side of things, I mean, oh no.
Golden Pants has already evened their death count, like, from map number 1 in its entirety.
Oh my
You know, I talked about it when we were on break that sometimes the scoreboard does not show, the stats don't show the story. This one does.
I mean,
this has been the story of this map, just complete and utter domination thus far by Everfrog.
So we'll have to see if, maybe the dive fares a bit better on the attack here. But again, it's going to be about, actually being able to coordinate, get everybody set up without a spear coming through. I don't know. It feels very rushed. It feels very odd right now from the side of Big Ballers. They don't feel like they have the coordination they normally do.
All right, but Zhao's already dead. Unfortunately, no follow-up there as it is all up to Golden Pants and Gibbs to dislodge this high ground control from Everfrog. And Golden Pants trying to get that tech rolling, but gonna just roll out.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you're not an Autobot. You're just a hamster in a mech trying to make things work. But, you know, again, it's just this constant contest on the point here. The ball's trying to cause disruption. Look for that opening.
I mean, 45% to the minefield. And Unto is very low, but the peel is just immaculate from Everfrog. For the moment, Zhao has gone over to the Pharah. The elevator denied for Golden Pants. They're trying to get rid of this Wrecking Ball, and they're finally able to find something going here. Anything will help, and that is a no different. Nevish very low. The Deadeye from Unto gonna claim Golden Pants, but unfortunately, they're gonna invest the Orbital Ray? They get rid of Golden Pants, and they throw down the Orbital Ray ante onto Unto. They're not gonna find anything going here, but they did stall long enough to let the Staggers come back from spawn.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, that was just such a questionable invest from that as well as the rally, because now you're going to see the Orisa march right in.
Orisa in, Nano Boost onto Zhao. They will get rid of Nevish, and I mean, they're definitely going to want that Orbital Ray back.
I mean, you're going to want more than that back, but I mean, hey, the trade out on the other side, Big Ballers just emptied the bank, everything but the blade thrown in a very chaotic fight to finally take the point here. And really, I mean, they're looking a little bit better with the Pharah in play, which is crazy, because the Huntu should be dealing with it.
Yeah, Unto falls here. And, I mean, Lewi's gone over to Torbjorn, so we will see as the rally gets popped by Zoom here. Gibbs backs down, no deflect in sight for the moment. Just building up that that rally armor. Slam gonna come through, at least a roll through here from Golden Pants to be annoying at the very least. Not gonna find anything. The Slam now gonna come down through on it to Lewi, and now the story, it's flipped here for Big Ballers.
Yeah, it's been absolutely flipped, but again, they're making it over to the card!
They have an Orbital Ray and a Terra Surge. Pixels absolutely farms the ultimate, and Nevish cleans it up. Beautiful play there to stabilize, but Zoom goes down. That could be big.
And again, you know, the thing about ball comps is exactly what you're seeing on display. They don't have point pressure ever. It always relies on sort of a bulky support line to try to keep everybody stable and keep that objective moving here, but Golden Pants has to be off doing things like that.
Well, that's exactly what you want. Pixels first to fall in this next fight. We have a Nano Blade alert potentially here for this team, but Nevish just explodes. I mean, this is just an absolutely different story from the first round.
I mean, absolutely. It's completely flipped on its head. A little bit slower, but Big Ballers are getting the job done here. They may have to invest at the very end.
They will use the minefield, but with Unto going down here, it's going to be very, very difficult for Everfrog to find anything else. The dive finally coming alive here for Big Ballers as they cap out B.
Yeah, and it's so odd, right? Because again, the Pharah has been just such a massive proponent of what we have been seeing here. And, you know, the answer was there. We had Unto on the cast. Untu's cast has been really, really good, but it seems like they just aren't up to task on it. Now over to the Echo, as they've been on with Lewi taking up the Cassidy role here. It's been allowing the dive to sort of, you know, roll through. They no longer have to fear anything. As Zhao almost gets found.
I mean, Zhao did get found, was waiting for the push there. Not going to be able to find that cheeky barrage that they would have liked. Now Gibbs nanoed here. Wants to pull the Dragon Blade, gonna pull the Dragon Blade, but unfortunately just sent careening back. No value for that Nano Blade, and with Zhao having fallen, Everfrog are going to be able to push Big Ballers right back into spawn.
back into the spawn room, and you know, this is a good little reset, especially for Everfrog, right? Because now Big Ballers, their pressure is going to be this clock. Every single second that they are drained, they're not able to get to the end of the map, is going to be more and more time that they're going to have to try to fight back with an extra round if they get there.
I mean, Unto has already found Zhao again. This Echo having been an excellent counterpick to the Pharah, and they're just going to disengage again.
Zhao on the cow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, Leeway does end up getting found out there, caught out by the minefield, but Unto, I mean, even on the Echo, playing Cassidy, getting the better of this DPS line for Big Ballers. Deadeye from Unto gonna find some damage there, but it will be enough to keep Everfrog above the water.
I mean, yeah, but for how much longer? The ball's gonna go down. Unto ultimately pays for it, but again, just without your ball, the Big Ballers can't do anything.
What is happening? They're gonna find one more pick with the Orbital Ray combo with the Terra Surge, and now they are back to rolling on this Orisa.
Yeah, and again, they're just sort of able to stabilize in a super aggressive way here. They're sort of setting the tempo, not allowing the ball to get in onto their backline. Instead of flipping the script, you're seeing Nevish get super aggro, be followed up on with the damage from these DPS, and do everything they need to.
UI with this Deadeye ready to go, we will see if Big Ballers are going to be prepared for it. They have the ultimate advantage in general, though. I mean, good lord, Leeway. Fan the hammer, flashbang, fan the hammer, roll, fan the hammer, all of that, and I mean, just putting the wrecking ball away so quickly.
And I mean, again, this ball, it's been really solved here, regardless of which player's on Cassidy. Now the rally trying to be an aggressive tool for Ballers.
They're going to be able to find something, hopefully, for them. They're going to be able to grab pixels with the Deadeye, but it is 2 for 2. This DPS line for Everfrog still rolling. Zhao able to get the better of Unto, so they will roll into the final area of Hollywood.
I mean, yeah, but they don't have everybody here to do it. The Doomfist is going to be able to touch point. This Ballers Nano Blade here might be their last chance of trying to cap this with time in the bank.
It has to be. Everfrog have built up to 3 pretty damn good ultimates here. Big Ballers 3 of their own. Nice little anti there on the Nevish, but it's going to be engaged by the Deadeye and the Orbital Ray. The Nano Blade good for 2. Unto with a kill of 2 of their own, and with 15 seconds left, Big Ballers are stressing. Unto has come alive. 3 for the Genji, dicing Big Ballers to pieces. Until for 4, and it's just Golden Pants left alive to get the touch, and overtime begins for Big Ballers, but they just leave the point.
I mean, yeah, your ball just decides too low HP, not worth it. Nobody else could get there, though, and I mean, Unto is being an absolute menace right now across heroes, right? From the hit scan to the projectile, everything in between, doing what needs to be done in this matchup here, able to shut down this dive, and it's absolutely amazing here. Big Ballers really have just been sent reeling time and again here. Their composition, it seems to have been solved, and they don't have any other tricks left up their sleeve.
Man, I'm speechless, right? I mean, you talked about this mentality thing at the beginning of the series, right? The story that we were spinning was that if Big Ballers were able to, you know, beat the confidence out of Everfrog, that it would be hard for them to win. But it's just the opposite right now. Everfrog are just pounding and pounding and pounding, never stopping, never letting Big Ballers breathe. The Big Ballers can do absolutely nothing when push comes to shove. Like, they have moments. They had a great point A attack. They had a great point B attack. But when push comes to shove, Everfrog, they have what they need to succeed here. I mean, they have been beaten down, and now they face what we thought Everfrog would be facing here in the first 2 maps, in the next 2 maps. And they lost on the maps where they were heavily favored, Megalast.
Yeah, and
this is going to be a very, very difficult fight.
It just speaks to how good Everfrog is right now. They're playing at absolute, peak Overwatch right now. Big Ballers, this is not the team that we saw that was 4-0, right? Their regular season streak currently on the verge of getting snapped here. Just absolutely ridiculous when you're just looking at this comparison, right? Everybody, doing the damage, doing what they need to. I want to focus on two things, right? You see Pixels healing. Just that means that despite them being on a dive on the side of Big Ballers, you're not focusing these supports at all. They're getting to free heal and farm way too much. But on the other side of things, right, we talked about him in the match. We talked about him now. Unto on this DPS, absolutely electric, lighting up the kill feed on, multiple heroes, right? Going the Echo when needed to get rid of the Pharah from the sky, the Genji mirror at the very end, the Cassidy all match long. It was just absolutely ridiculous to see this kind of flexibility in a DPS.
Yeah, I mean, stats, like I said, they don't always tell the story, but sometimes they do, right? This is ridiculous. 45% weapon accuracy, 17 final blows to Yibs' 7, and they have the same amount of deaths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Absolutely monumental map 2 here from Unto and Everfrog as a whole. These first 2 maps were what we thought Everfrog would have the biggest trouble with. Now, it is on Big Ballers to head to 2 maps that they do not have the favoring. They don't have the advantage that we thought they had in the first 2. So now, as we head into this break, Big Ballers, they have to figure out how they can possibly break this Everfrog squad, if they can at all. So you're going to want to keep watching this series, because Everfrog, they are on a tear, and Big Ballers, they do not want to go down, so stick around. I think it's going to be a great finish. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Memories. Memories.
Yeah.
Memories. Memories.
Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. Oh, my body's breathing. It's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. Let's
All right, welcome back, everybody. And I mean, Big Ballers just left reeling after the first two maps. Like, you know, we've already talked about it, and I'm gonna say it again. Those first two maps were necessary for Big Ballers, right? It's going to be so hard to consistently win on this Wrecking Ball composition on Throne of Anubis and Colosseo. It's
Exactly.
just going to be such an uphill climb, and I mean, Everfrog are ready to run downhill, right? They're ready to be at the finish line. They have done their uphill climb, so they're ready to finish this series out here on Throne of Anubis. They look unstoppable.
Yeah, their momentum is absolutely insane at the current moment. I mean, you know, they're playing aggressively, their tempo is high, they're doing what they need to do to shut down the entire composition, right? We focus so heavy on the ball, but really the rest of it, right? The whole dive is not coming through in the way it needs to. The supports are, you know, positioning, playing well, living forever. You have Nevish on Orisa, landing these crucial spears when needed to. Then Unto and Leewai just tearing the entirety of Big Ballers apart on their engages. It's absolutely amazing to see this Everfrog squad sort of step up in this way. And like you said, Big Ballers, you know, their freebie maps were just taken away from them forcibly. So now it is going to be a massive uphill climb, you know, starting with Clash, bit of a back and forth mode. Maybe you can get some ult cycles going and maybe work with it that way. But Colosseo is going to be absolutely brutal if you can even manage to get there.
Yeah, I mean, a sweep was never on the cards for me, right? Or anybody, I guess, except for you, right?
Hi.
Hi.
Listen, it was,
Hi,
it was the
Hi,
CGL
I'm Megalax.
logo.
You're wondering how I got here, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, nobody except for you, for some reason, thought this would be a sweep at all. And now Everfrog have taken, I mean, they've taken these adaptations. They tried the Reinhardt, it just didn't work. They wanted the Mei. It wasn't good, frankly. It's just not a good comp, right? Even if you're like the best Reinhardt on the planet, it is hard to consistently find that kind of value, especially against such a mobile composition as what Big Ballers are running. And now, as we've seen Everfrog continue to learn and continue to grow, they have become a team that is willing to step back and say, hey, listen, we love our shenanigans. We love our funny rectangle man. Unfortunately, we value winning just a tad bit more than that, and they go over to what is generally considered the best composition right now, the Juno Brig backline with the Orisa, and it has been a night and day difference from that first submap on Ilios to what we've seen since then. I mean, Unto and Leewai have absolutely been fragging as a DPS duo. Nevish very rarely dying. Pixels never dying, just about. Putting out unreal amounts of healing. It's going to be very, very important here for the big ballers to figure something out. And they've got Balbox coming in here on the support. So I guess we will just have to see if that is going to change anything.
Going to be a very large if here but the clash mode, anything can happen here. This is the mode of chaos where a random ult combo can certainly just win you the point, if not the whole damn game. So we will have to see. We don't have to try to predict anymore. These teams have both been very set in their ways. Everfrog has decided that the meta is the way forward for them with this Orisa Juno Brig. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, big ballers potentially with this Ashe coming out of spawn from Zhao. I would like to see it. It's going to be able to outrange a lot of the members of Everfrog here, but I guess the silliness could not be escaped because Leewai is on the Junkrat.
Could be a very annoying presence for this Wrecking Ball with those traps. The hardest stun that you can think of, right? Stops them in their tracks. So we'll see here as the point presence is points unlocked. They're trying to figure out where Golden Pant's going to come down. It's going to slam down onto that back line as Nevish is so deep. Jesus, there will be a trade, but unfortunately with Nevish being the casualty for Big Ball, or for rather Everfrog, it's going to be hard for them to go back in here. I should stop talking sometimes because this is still an even fight at Unto! My God, he doesn't miss!
He's not capable. I've never seen Unto miss a shot. If you've seen it, then you weren't seeing things correctly. But the Doomfist now from Nevish trying to get back quickly, valuing that a little bit more here as there's another contest on the point, trying to fight for C.
Unto has a Deadeye here, ready to go. Punch gonna go wide there for Nevish. Deadeye gonna come out. Gonna be annoying. This Cassidy around the corner, speed walking out. Can they find it? They can! It's a beautiful move there from Leewai to follow up on the Deadeye from Unto. And point C belongs to Everfrog to start this map off.
And so now they're walking forward. The rest of Big Ballers trying to stabilize, get back out of the line of fire. Pixels already having an orbital ray online here is going to be crucial for this fight. You've got to see where it'll be delivered to see how well Everfrog can sort of play in it as they traverse the whole point. But Golden Pants, that's a good way to start.
Yeah, Leewai falling here first. We'll see if Everfrog decides to do anything different with that. And hey, why would they change up what works? Orbital Ray comes down. Ace goes down with it. I mean, Pulse Bomb going to come out onto Unto, so the Orbital Ray will not find the value they're looking for, and Big Ballers will be able to even the score here on B.
Yeah, and so now we're going to be heading back to that center point, one apiece here. Nevish actually back over to the Orisa now, deciding the Doomfist is just not for them. And, I mean, it was sort of a hit-and-miss situation. Big Ballers, I mean, this next one going to have both support ultimates to sort of help sustain as they need to here. It's just going to be, again, about Golden Pants staying alive when going into this backline.
All right, Golden Pants in one more time. Back to the middle here. Even score 1-1 on Throne of Anubis. Ultimates coming up heavy here for Big Ballers. Double support ultimates. And Nevish is inting again, guys. Orbital Ray going to come down from Ace. Now the Riptire is the answer from Leewai, and it's going to claim the life of Ace. Now, rally in, but unfortunately, Balbox just ripped to pieces there by Nevish. No value on the rally. Both support ultimates expended. Point capture for Everfrog.
Yep, that's just going to be their point, taking the lead once again here. And, this back and forth continues the way that it is, it's going to be Everfrog taking it away. So Big Ballers, they have to find a way to sort of turn one of these fights without over investing. They're coming into the next one with both a Deadeye and a Minefield to work with. This could be their chance to turn it with raw mechanics, but Palbox on the Zen, it just makes you that much more vulnerable to some of this poke.
All right. Back in for Golden Pants setup. They see this Wrecking Ball just chilling out. Gonna slam down on the, well, maybe not. Flashbang there, the Minefield going to be, you know, a little bit of a nuisance, but it doesn't control very much of the point. Now Deadeye from Unto, unfortunately, you know, even with trying to hide from the Deadeye, Balbox will be the first to fall. Flashbang not going to find the target they were looking for. Golden Pants trying to protect the backline, halfway to capturing this point for Everfrog. They're going to throw down the Orbital Ray even without Levi in the fight. Pulse Bomb onto Zoom. The shield blocks it there. A nice little boop there. Golden Pants not going to find a lot on the slam. Pixels very low. And with Zhao going down, it could be big. But of course, who else but Unto to open up this fight and get everything rolling for Everfrog.
And so now it is towards the spawn room. Point A, Unto with another shot. Oh my goodness gracious. Is there anything this Cassidy cannot do? Oh my, Big Ballers, I mean, their back is against the wall. They can't figure anything out. It seems like it's just sort of, you know, waiting for the end at this point for them.
All right, Hyper Ring in from Pixels. Unto very, very low, but of course, you know, Pixels also electric on that Juno. And oh my god, Levi with a beautiful stick on it to Balbox. I mean, right now, Everfrog are just absolutely walking it down into the faces of Big Ballers. The Orbital Ray going to come out. Unto, unfortunately, stuck right in the center of the Minefield. And finally, Big Ballers will be able to breathe. They're going to be able to grab this point and move back to B.
I mean, yeah, but again, when you're pushed into your spawn like that, it's never a good look. And again, I worry about this backline. The Juno Zen, it doesn't provide the healing that you're going to want, right? There's so much burst potential coming out from Everfrog. Some more sustain would be nice, but just Zenyatta applying those discords is going to have to be enough. You have to try to burn a target quickly to get through the insane healing that Everfrog has been putting out.
Right back to B, and Zhao just eviscerated. Unto just does not miss these shots. One more for the Cassidy. It's absolutely a... I've run out of superlatives for Unto as they continue to rip through Big Ballers.
I mean, you're just peeking a cast on a composition of Tracer, Pharah, Wrecking Balls. Like, there's nobody on this comp that wants to be anywhere near a Cassidy, so it's just sort of free shooting for Unto right now as they continue to go here, now with only 1 point standing between them in a clean 3-0 victory.
Zhao needs to find something with this rocket barrage if they want to stay in this map and consequently in this series. Zhao caught out, a couple of shots connecting from Unto, but no kill in just yet. Hyper Ring out to push them back onto the point. Everfrog has 4 ultimates here in this fight. Big Ballers will expend one of their only ones, and Balbox and Zhao are so low, and of course, who gets the final blows but Unto? The Minefield is annoying, it's going to claim a Nevish, but this fight is so far from over. Can they keep it rolling? Unto does not find the connection there on the flashbang, and Zhao will be able to keep Big Ballers above the water here. They're not done yet.
I mean, you're about to push towards point B, and I'm no mathematician, but I can count 5 ultimates on the side of Everfrog that are separating them from this map win, this series win. You know, they just need the 1 more point here so they can throw everything in the kitchen sink into this one. Big Ballers, they have some tools to work with, but it's all about, you know, actually having sustain, and the one thing their comp can't do is sustain, Fletch.
All right. Pulse Bomb does not find the target, needed it from Yibs, unfortunately. Now, Orbital Ray in from Pixels, but Pixels just pops like a balloon. Pulse Bomb from Levi not going to find the target. Unfortunately, this is going the way of big ballers right now. Orbital Ray gonna come down from Ace. If I'm Everfrog, I just say, hey, give this up. We fight on C.
I mean, yeah, that's the call, but they're still going.
Yeah, 2 picks in from Everfrog, but unfortunately, it is only Nevish left in this fight. Pixels does return here, so this could actually flip here. Nevish on the point alone pushes the Wrecking Ball away. They want to get rid of Pixels. Pixels very low, dead, taken down by Yibs. Slam going to come down from Golden Pants. And this should be a fight win for big ballers here.
The emphasis on should be, but Unto's on the scene.
I mean, of course, Unto comes in and gets a kill that they have no right getting. Trying to take down this backline is Unto. Zoom falls, Pixels dead. Rather gets the pick onto Ace, and I mean, this just keeps going. The trades keep rolling. Pixels will not die here. The Tracer being so annoying. Pulse Bomb onto Golden Pants, very low, dead, as Nevish returns from spawn this time to clean up the Wrecking Ball there. And now it's just desperation touches. Leeway does end up going down, found the stick onto Nevish. I mean, the Hypersphere is in there, but of course, they're still returning from spawn, Megalas. They don't ever want to give this up. They want it to end right now. Transcendence out from the side of big ballers, and unfortunately, Unto has full HP and a flashbang. Deadeye in the hands of this Cassidy as well. They could use it should they want to, but they will. Now going to get rid of Zhao as the Rocket Barrage comes down, the Orbital Ray in tow as well. And of course, as the clock dwindles here for big ballers, will they be able to keep it rolling? Yibs falls, big Golden Pants keeps the spin to win going, but it's a 2 versus 5, now a 1 versus 5. Balbox with a hole straight through, and that will do it. Everfrog complete the perfect sweep here, 5-3 on Throne of Anubis.
Oh my goodness gracious. We've learned 2 things in this series. One is that Everfrog, the meme team, they can play the meta with the best of them. So an extra tool in their wheelhouse is looking deadly for this back half of the season. And on the other side of things, this is now, if you count the mid-season, 2 3-0 losses in a row for the side of big ballers. And it seems like their ball composition, it has been solved, it has been figured out, and they're going to have to find some new adaptations, some new layers to it if they want to keep running it in this back half.
Oh, man. They need Orisa to fade away into irrelevance, I feel like. Because, I mean, Everfrog are not a team that's known for their, Orisa gameplay, right? But they came out here, and I mean, it helps when you have a Cassidy that doesn't miss headshots. But Nevish being willing and able to switch over off of the, comparatively worse Reinhardt, it's just not that good. And when you have a tank that really wants to play Reinhardt but is willing to switch, that helps a whole hell of a lot. And I mean, we saw it. The spears were immaculate the whole time. Unto, whether they were playing the Echo, the Genji, the Cassidy, the flashbang, so important. I mean, everything that Everfrog did was to the betterment of their gameplay, and the scoreline reflects it.
And here's the thing, right? Onto super flashy, right? I think that, actual deadlift, fun fact on that last map, if my math is good. Yeah, 16 final blows, 17. Yeah, actual deadlift from the cast
So
here.
yeah, a flooded deadlift. Flashy, just
but
casual.
Something else to point out with the stats here, right? Look at all of the healers in the lobby. 5k, 7k, 15,000 healing from Pixels on this Juno, right? Unto, yes, you were flashy. You were getting the kills. You were doing what you needed to. But it has to be highlighted. Anytime Unto lost even 1 HP, it was being replaced by this backline. That's what was allowing this cast to wreak havoc. So, as much as we can all sing the praises of DPS players, we have to let them know that the supports were helping Unto do all of this. I mean, weapon accuracy above 50% on Cassidy. That's ridiculous.
I mean, Unto is locked in. Like, ultimately, I do fully agree with you, right? If your supports aren't doing anything, nothing's going to matter, right? Unto, it is so severely uncommon to see a deadlift. ever. Like, they don't happen. And I mean, Pixels, Unto, and Nevish. I mean, I feel like those three were, you know, locked in, right? I mean, I agree. 15,000 healing, absolutely ridiculous. 52% weapon accuracy, absolutely unheard of. This team is built to win. If they do not mess around, if they lock it in, if they phone it in, this team can. I mean, they are already the runner-ups in our mid-season tournament. If they can continue to take these steps forward, they could be first. This is a team that could straight up win this tournament. They continue to learn and they continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just the sort of the power that this team has, right? We sort of wrote them off as a for fun meme team, but it seems like, you know, when push comes to shove, they can act like a very studious student and hit the books, learn what they need to, and adapt accordingly, you know, to this meta, right? We all were wondering if the meta would change that much with Season 13. It seems like we are going to still be seeing the Orisa, the Juno, and the Break, but when you're piloting it that well after not showing it off at all, it sort of begs the question, why didn't we get to see this sooner?
Ultimately, I think that is a question that we will have to ask them. When we come back from the break, we'll get an interview with one of our Everfrog representatives. So when we come back, we'll get to talk to Pixels, their, you know, the incredible support for Everfrog, and see what they've got to say about this win. So stick around. Should be a good one.
Name straight, new wave.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And we've got Pixels of Everfrog here to talk to us about this series today. Pixels, what a match from y'all. Absolutely come out and slam. How are y'all feeling right now?
I mean, it's crazy, especially because all of the casters, everyone like, I think only one person predicted that we'll win. Everyone else was like 3-2, 3-1, 3-0. It's crazy that we 3-0 them. We are the underdogs.
That's me. Me and Say. There were two of us. All right, at the very least. Me and Soav. We picked y'all. But yeah, the first thing I want to talk about, and probably the most important thing, the most pivotal to y'all winning this series. What was the idea? Like, y'all tried to come out on the Reinhardt early on Ilios, but ultimately, what was the thing that kind of broke the camel's back that made y'all want to go over to the Orisa?
I mean, at the beginning, before we even started like the match, we knew that we're playing against the ball OTP team, and I came up with the idea. Okay, we're gonna play to counter the ball. So we go Cassidy, we go Orisa, we go Brick, we go these heroes that have CCs that can counter the ball, and then we agreed on that. And then like 2 minutes before the match starts, our coach comes in and goes like, "No, you guys are not gonna do that. You're gonna go sim TP. You're gonna, instead of killing the ball, you're gonna go for their backline." And we were like, "Okay, sure, we'll try it first round." It did not work. We like lost first round, and then I was like so angry. Like we agreed on what to do, and then we just changed it. So like we just swapped to the original idea, and then we start winning after.
I mean, yeah, it seems like you had the right plan. Just so happened to also line up with the meta we've been seeing recently. But I mean, it's a nice change of pace, right? We've seen from Everfrog, we've seen the sort of silly meme strats that are fun to watch and stuff like that. But this sort of lock-in moment, this seriousness, the fact that it's just another side evolving of your team, is this something that was always there, or is this just something new that's come after the midseason?
No, I think it was always there. Like, if something's not working, we work it out together. We see what's the problem. We like gather ideas, and we just make a decision based off of.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Well, that's another win here on the belt for you guys. You still have the rest of regular season going for you, but of course you're eyeing that end of season goal here. And, I don't know all your matchups off the top of my head, but do you think you can hit the 4-0 this half, or do you think there's some teams that can still give you some trouble?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm also not familiar with the teams we're gonna play up against, but should be pretty easy. We just need to be prepared, know what we're up against. We keep doing what we're doing. It should be easy. Like, we're doing actually a very good job at figuring out comps, how to play comps, to even adapt in certain situations. Like, we have never played against ball OTP teams like so rarely, and we just came out like with a good idea and how to play against it.
I mean, yeah, that was an excellent showing from y'all today. So now, as we get ready to send you to go, celebrate with your team, get ready for next week, Pixels, is there anybody that you want to like shout out, or maybe something that you want to bring up that maybe we didn't?
Yeah, shout out to my team, shout out to the coaches, even though at the beginning they weren't really hopeful, but it's fine. Shout out to all my friends, especially shout out to my hitscan Unto. He is the GOAT. He is the guy who carries us in every game. Good job, Unto.
You know what? You did your own fair share of carrying there. 15k healing in that last map was ridiculous. You can Megalas will yap about that for hours, but unfortunately we don't have hours anymore. So Pixels, thank you for coming to talk to us this evening, and we wish you the best of luck in the rest of the regular season heading into the playoffs.
Thank you.
All right, Megalas. What a series. What a series. Everfrog just dominates Big Ballers here, and they continue to be undefeated in the regular season.
Yeah, with definitely no Preds were boomed in the making of this broadcast. The reason the CGL logo popped up, they couldn't load the Everfrog logo for me in time. That's what happened there. So I just had the Pred exactly right at the start. But yeah, no, I mean, good matchup. And a very good showing for Everfrog, right? We talked about how this was supposed to be close, but to come in and dominate a top opponent like that, give Big Ballers their first regular season loss, I mean, it's a good sign for Everfrog here for the back half and just how they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, Everfrog continue to learn, to grow, become a better, stronger team, and Big Ballers going to have to come back, learn from their mistakes here this afternoon, learn how to try to get around the Orisa composition that will assuredly plague them for the rest of the season now that people know what their weakness is. So I genuinely believe that this is a team that can definitely get around it. But I guess, you know what, Megalas? We'll just have to see. But that will do it for us here, at least for you and me tonight here on Saturday Night Overwatch. Do you have anything else to say before we hand it back to our desk?
Overwatch is great. Follow the CGL channel. And make sure to let our desk know, everybody but Soav, that they're also wrong. That way I don't feel bad about it, just myself.
All right, so we're going to hand it back to the desk here. And Soav, you and me, big dog. Let's get it rolling, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Oof. Yeah, fair enough. Wow, what a game. I mean, beyond it being a game, we said it was close. That was not. That was a statement made. Everfrog.
Oh, stop being
walked
so
right through it.
smug, Soab. You said 3-2. You did not predict this. If anything, Fletch was closer than you.
Fletch was closer than me, but
Yeah,
you know
Fletch, yeah.
what? But you know what, Ray? I still got the team right, which, considering y'all said I get it right, I guess you said it in the game earlier. You said I get them right. I guess that's true. I mean, but we all kind of expected, right? I think this to be a much closer game, but it was a statement made by them. I think we all expected this just to be the two one-trick teams ramming their heads against each other. And Everfrog just decided, no, we are going to adapt, improvise, and overcome, and they're rewarded for it.
They even overcame their coach who had a different idea of how to do it. You saw the TP strat at the start of that matchup, but they switched off of it, Ray.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, the preamble I kind of gave into this series where I said, look, we know Everfrog loves to play the Rhine, but if they're going to win this series, I feel they need to roll out on the Orisa or make the adaptation to go over to the Orisa. Map number 1, they go onto Ilios and they play Lighthouse and they get run over by the Wrecking Ball on the Rhine. Then they swap to Orisa and they did not look back. So I think, well, you'll guys see who our MVP is, but I think the MVP decision that the team made was to go Orisa.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, seriously, as soon as it came out, I mean, you're talking about so while we're watching it, like, the CC is just so strong, and against a team where it did seem like the teamwork kind of fell apart a bit on the baller side, where it started looking a little bit more individual. So it's so easy to use your CC abilities to interrupt Golden Pants when they're trying to go in for, like, the carry. And Golden Pants was doing well, but still was getting tripped up so much by it, and it just resulted in it falling apart for them. Everfrog with the 3-0. Spec, what are your thoughts watching that overall between these teams? Everfrog getting it in the 3-0.
I thought there was a fantastic effort from Golden Pants, obviously. I mean, we saw this stat line at the end, but, I mean, even on that Throne of Anubis, 13-4, was absolutely doing his damnedest to try and get a win out for his team. Unfortunately, though, didn't come to pass, and, you know, I hate to point the finger at any player in particular, rather than just, like, macro failures, but unfortunately, it was a bit of a gap on the DPS line. I think Zhao and Yipsy were really struggling, especially, again, on that final map, and especially when you're playing a bull comp, which is, you know, for whatever value you can find in your bull, normally supposed to be DPS centric. It's supposed to be enabling your Tracer, your Pharah, your Genji, whatever you have to frag. When they're not, I think that's where we really see the cracks begin to show.
But we did see that, though, Spec. We saw that when Zhao was on the Pharah, because the second he pulled that out, it looked like he was dominating the skies. There was no one that contesting him, even on Hollywood and Throne. He looked phenomenal when he pulled it out. So there was glimpses, but I'm inclined to agree with you. The teamwork, kind of like I said earlier, the teamwork for the ball comp to get the high skill, high reward just didn't quite seem there versus Everfrog's just kind of, you know, ground pound.
Yeah, I gotta give it credit. So if you pretty much predicted exactly how it would fall apart, you know, the coordination wasn't quite there. They didn't get what they wanted in terms of like coordinating dives. Very individualistic, and it meant that the tighter knit fist of a comp that was being played by Everfrog just had an easier time in dealing with it. And there were still like individuals on there as well. Like, yes, Lass likes to mention 17k healing at one point from Pixels, 15k in another one. So a lot of healing output to really support that like Deathball comp, and it just really shows the two different stylistic points. And yes, fair enough. Like, I'm not going to go against my dice, right? I'll stand by my dice. It's not going to be an excuse. So I was very wrong. I think I was the most wrong because it was 3-1 for Big Ballers. So I'll admit, okay, fine, I clowned it. I got it wrong. I was not familiar with the Everfrog game, but now I am. And looking forward to the rest of this stage. I'm actually excited to see what they continue to do because they seem like they've got a good mindset. Ray, what are your thoughts on Everfrog, on Big Ballers, and these teams going forward in this stage?
I think just thinking about dive comps in general, like let's just focus on like a Diva or a Winston for a second. We know that teamwork and syncing up is very important, but to me, it's highlighted and much even more important when you're playing Wrecking Ball. Like if like sometimes you can get away when you're playing Tracer Sombra, Tracer Genji with Winston. If everyone's not exactly on the same tick, sometimes you can get away with it. Wrecking Ball, you cannot. If you're not synced up ready to go, your ball has to bail and you're not able to get out of there and do anything properly. So I think that was the big thing for the big ballers today was, I don't know. I mean, they were 4-0 for a reason. So I'm sure they've had better days. This just didn't seem to be a great day where they were all on the same page. But for Everfrog, just the adaptations they made back and forth. I mean, the tank swap and then their DPS kept making good swaps to deal with what big ballers were trying to do to counteract their Orisa composition.
Yeah, and it worked quite well. We were kind of talking during Hollywood at the end of it that the dives were uncoordinated to a degree that it felt like the supports of Everfrog weren't getting too much pressure and they were more free to do what they wanted with it. We really saw that really build into their strength as well. I mean, Hollywood, like, damn, like, can we talk about that? What was the time back at the end? 3 minutes something? Like
3:36.
It was like 3.5 minutes,
yeah.
That was mad. Like, Spec, you said it yourself when we were watching it. That was just dominant.
Yeah, it was just very one-sided, and I just wanted to circle back to what you were saying before about what it maybe means for big ballers in the future. I understand it might be a rough heroes to play against, but let's be very honest here. Brig, Orisa, Cass, these are very meta picks right now. You're going to be playing into a lot more of these in the future, and if this has been your wake-up call, then so be it, but we need to see some adaptations and fast, because heading into the future of this tournament, they're not just going to be able to it's some easy matchups. Even when they were playing before, when there's more likely to see a Ram or a Diva that's more comfortable for you, I'm not feeling incredibly hopeful for them. So I think they've got to put in a lot of work and fast if they want to be in the good standings for the playoffs at the end of this season.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And looking back at the mid-season playoffs, it was Ballers and Everfrog. They both got taken out by 0907 in a 3-0 sweep. So, looking at how Everfrog were able to dismantle big ballers in the way that they did, maybe now that they've got experience against the other group, against 0907, maybe Everfrog are able to take that, learn from that, and build on. As Fletch was saying, it's a team that seems like they're quite smart with it. They've got a coach lineup as well. Whether they agree or disagree with their coaches is another thing. But, like, they have the tools to implement here in terms of building up, like, a solid playoffs. But there was one player that did stand out amongst the rest, and this was a massive discussion behind the scenes. This wasn't an easy one. There was debates, there was camps, there was teams, but in the end, you cannot deny the raw power of our MVP, Unto, who not only on a hit scan, like Casti, but also on the Echo on the Pharah, every hero that Unto touched, they popped off. It was incredible to watch, and it just cemented Everfrog's victory here. Heck, we saw all sorts of different heroes. It can't be easy for a player to play both hit scan and like DPS characters.
Yeah, there really aren't many high-level hyperflexes in the game of Overwatch, right? I mean, you think of them right now, and Proper, I can think of anybody else. There's not really any, So the fact that Unto is performing at this level across multiple different roles is incredibly impressive. I think the Pharah on Hollywood was first to put me on the train, but you couldn't really deny it, in my opinion, after throwing them a new pick. Especially this first fight here. They're down 4v5 after Nev, did fall a little bit. He just gets a triple kill. They just went out the fight because of that. It brings it from a 4v5 into a 4v2. That's ridiculous output. We could see some of that here. And I think he was the big reason they won. I mean, 17 final blows, as we saw. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the actual deadlift at the end there is kind of, I think, like the seal for a lot of us was just realizing he straight up carried a lot of that game, and he was quiet in game 1 and 2, and maybe that was where those things happened, but once he kind of got on track, it was just clear for Unto.
For me, it was the 4K at the end of Hollywood on the Genji, where it looked like it could have been a lost fight, and then suddenly just Unto was just like, actually, no, I kind of want to win this fight, guys, and it just pops off and just wins the fight, and it's exactly what you want to see from a DPS, and just shows that like the ceiling for Everfrog might be even higher than what we saw today, because some of their players have like very high peaks. Ray, we saw a lot of players like Nevs as well, like chose the Orisa that you had talked about previous as well that worked out. In terms of the individual players of Everfrog, who else stood out to you in the team?
I think their support line did incredibly well. I mean, we can't. Megalas couldn't stop talking about how much healing Pixels was doing. Pixels did a great job on this support. I mean, if you're gonna be playing against the Wrecking Ball, you gotta be able to keep your squishies alive, and they did a great job of keeping their entire team alive. So, shout outs to the supports. I mean, they're the unsung heroes who allow those DPS and tanks to have their moments.
Yeah, true enough. We saw some supports have some rough times on Zenyatta in front of Anubis. You were talking about, while we're watching it, Spec, how the choice didn't really work for the map in particular and the comp because there's so many ways that the Tracer could get into the backline.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, on Hollywood, you've got these really long sight lines that make it very easy for the Zen to find value. You have really high uptime on Discord Orb because it's quite hard for your Orisa to break LOS, and in theory, you're going to not be punished super hard. On Throne of Anubis, though, Tracer's got like 3 or 4 different flank routes, and even if you just want to cross open sightlines, you kind of can because they're, for the most part, not that long. And so you don't have the same kind of safety that you would have on other maps. You don't have a hard protector like a Brigitte, for example, and you don't have the same level of spam to put the pressure down onto that main tank. So it just doesn't do enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, true enough. And we did see that they were kind of getting bullied into their spawn, and it was a bit rough. But overall, it was very one-sided from Everfrog. But it's not over for today's SNO, because that's the EU game over with. Maybe it didn't match up to the close game that we were wanting it to be, but Everfrog certainly made the message. Will it be the same in NA? At 20 Eastern, you'll have Franklin Phoenix and Beagle Bust up together in a match where, as I understand it, both are undefeated. So if that one's not close, then you probably have a team solidifying themselves as the top of the pack. So that is one you do want to see. So absolutely check it out in NA. And tomorrow as well, past today, we have a CGL regular season broadcast. So you won't have the desk, but you'll still have 2 wonderful casters going through some of the matches. So always keep an eye on the CGL schedule, whether you get that on Discord or Twitter or whatever. Always keep an eye out for when games are happening. But it's time to begin to wrap up, so let's have some final thoughts, guys. Ray, what are your final thoughts on today's matchup?
I think it was just very well done by Everfrog. Their adaptations went really well. But talking about the match later tonight, I'm very excited because Short Bus won the console open tier midseason, and I never saw their PC team, but I didn't realize they changed their name to Beagle Bus for the PC. I am like the biggest like Short Bus Beagle Bus stan in the casters and in the desk. So yeah. I mean, yeah. I cannot wait for that match tonight. 2 undefeated teams going at it, and oh man, it's gonna be great Overwatch tonight. Hopefully not a 3-0. I mean, if Beagle Bus 3-0'd, you know, that's cool, but hopefully not a 3-0.
Yeah, hopefully not for you. Maybe it will be a little bit closer than today's EU matchup. So, what are your final thoughts on this match?
I mean, apparently I need to have a little more confidence in myself because I've been predicting winners left and right. So take that for what you will. But I do think that Everfrog showed us that in a world where, you know, a meta is pretty well defined, the flexibility and the willingness to adapt really goes a lot of distance here. So, you know, I just love to see these teams, you know, continue to learn and grow like that. They said they were cooking up plans on the Everfrog side, and they sure did. So I'm very curious to see how the second half of the season shakes out for all of these teams. We're getting to those points where there's a lot of undefeated teams that are going to start getting losses here.
Yeah, and that's just so exciting, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks leading up to the final playoffs. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch those teams battle against each other. Spectrum, what's your final thoughts on today?
Antu needs a pay rise, man. I don't know how much they're giving him, but like triple that, because that was I mean, I don't think they win if Antu plays that doesn't play like that. I agree with you. Like, that was just a ridiculous amount of output from him, just head and shoulders above realistically everybody else in the lobby, in my estimation. So he went off. I think it was mentioned in the interview even. And if he continues to play like that, I think the next time that Everfrog match up against maybe an 09-07, that game might go a little bit differently.
So yes, well, Everfrog, they can be happy that most of the desk and casters are going home wrong on their predictions. They've proven them wrong to a very specific degree. So congratulations to Sov and Fledge for correctly identifying that Everfrog were the team that were going to win today. But thank you to both teams for allowing us to cast this game, and this broadcast doesn't happen without all the wonderful people putting it together. Behind the scenes, we've got a list of people. Of course, we have Little Joe, Orange, Rhino, and June, with the producer of Hippie, of course. They're the people that make us look really good. So without them, it would be a bit of a different show. Thank you to Fletch and Megalas for covering that matchup, and thank you Ray, Sov, and Speg for joining me on the desk. I've been Geo. This has been EUSNO. We'll catch you at NA. Don't forget to laugh loud and love yourself, folks. See you then.